Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I'm bringing you my February wrap-up. In February, I read quite a bit. I participated in a 24-hour Manga Readathon, which was actually the 24-hour Manga Love Readathon, which was hosted by Shay over at Shay Geeks Out. I did already film a wrap-up for those volumes of manga that I read, so I will link it down in the description box below so you can check those out, because I will not be wrapping up those titles in this video. Okay, so since there are a lot to get through, let's get started. I posted a picture on my Instagram, I think in January, that I had started tracking my reading in like a bullet journal type of thing. And so I just wanted to share with you what my tracking looked like for February. So as you can see, I track per day, and the different colors is by the number of chapters. So this kind of helps me figure out how long it actually takes me to read a title, and see about how much I pick up at a time. And as I explained in my January goals section of my January wrap-up, that has really helped me in being truer on a rating, I think, for the novels and manga that I read. So let's get into the books that I read in February. I did read other manga volumes besides the one I read for the Manga Readathon, so I will just go in the order that I read them. I do have Goodreads open on the screen on this side, so if you see me looking over there, that is why. So I started the month off by finishing The Lost World. This is the second book in the Jurassic Park duology. This one's by Michael Crichton. I did not enjoy this one as much as the first one. I really enjoyed the Jurassic Park movies. This second book wasn't very close to the movie adaptation at all, and it was really slow to get started for me. I listened to this on audiobook, and I also read a physical copy, and yeah, I was just kind of disappointed. My daughter read this one before I did, and she kept asking me, "Where are you? Where are you now?" I'm like, "Why?" She goes, that it, like, the action parts weren't there yet. She goes, "You gotta keep reading. You gotta keep reading." I'm like, "This is boring." I was literally feeling bored, waiting for things to happen. And she's like, just wait a little while longer. You're almost there. And so I finally got to the, like, dinosaurs and the action and all of that. And that's what I really enjoy about Jurassic Park. And so, yeah, not as good as the first one. I still gave it 3 stars. And yeah, so that was my first finished book for February. And then I went into the third book in the Detective Luke Moncrief series, which was French Twist. This is a book shot that was written by James Patterson and Richard DeLallo. I had read the first of this series in January. I read the second of the series in December. But this is the last book in the trilogy, I believe. I don't believe there are any others coming out. This one follows Detective Luke Moncrief. He is a French detective who is working for a time with the New York Police Department, and they have 2 cases in this one book shot. Book shots are really like short novella-like length books. I think this one was like 160 pages or so. But in this one, Luke's friends, who are owners of a racehorse, have been receiving threats, telling them that, you know, they better win this particular race or whatever. And so Luke is kind of trying to investigate that. But on the other hand, there's also another mystery about these ladies who seem to be dropping dead for no reason. So yeah, I really enjoyed these 3 novellas. There were a few inconsistencies, I think I mentioned before, especially with Kay Burke, who is Luke's detective partner in New York, and her knowledge of the French language. Other than that, the investigations are really good. This 3rd one really interested me because of the equestrian aspect to it. I'm not really into horses or watching horse races or anything like that, but I was really intrigued by the depictions of the races, and in the end it really had me cheering the horse that his friends own on at each race. So I think you follow the horse in like 3 races. I think it's 3 races. They're like big races. But yeah, it was really interesting. I would definitely read more from this series if more becomes available in the future. But yeah, I ended up giving this one also 3 stars. I think I gave the other 2 books in this series 3 stars also, so really enjoyable. Then I went into the manga version of The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare. You may or may not know, I have been buddy reading the Mortal Instruments series with my friend Shannon over at Shannon Riddler. I'll link her down in the description below. But we also read The Infernal Devices together, and it wasn't the best reads for me. I think I gave all 3 of those books 3 stars. And I had noticed that there was a manga version put out. Well, it's actually manhwa because it's a Korean artist, but I noticed that this version was put out, and I was really interested to see what they cut out of the novels to present in the manhwa, because the manhwa is like half the number of pages as the novels are. So I got interested to see if maybe I'd like this version better. I do think that I enjoyed it a little better, because some of the depictions of the characters and their banter was more interesting, I guess, for me. But I still only gave each of those 3 stars. I kind of wish I read the manhwa version instead of reading the novels, but you can't exchange the enjoyment I had breaking down the chapters while discussing them with Shannon. So I'm glad I buddy read it with her. I'm glad that I read this version on my own. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't read it again because I enjoyed it that much. I was just interested to see what they had cut out of the series. But yeah, I enjoyed it about the same as the novels. So 3 stars for all of those. And then I DNF'd a novel. You don't hear me talk about DNFing novels very often, and it's because up until last year, I did not DNF novels. I always read it through, no matter how much I wasn't enjoying books. But I kind of thought that it's kind of a waste of time. I mean, there's so many books I want to read, and if I'm not enjoying something, I really shouldn't take the time to read it and make it an excruciating process for me. That's a bit overboard, but you kind of know what I'm saying, right? So I had borrowed this book, The King of Bones and Ashes. This is the first book in the Witches of New Orleans series by J.D. Horn. I borrowed it from Kindle Unlimited. I was listening to it on audiobook because it was a Kindle Unlimited borrow ebook and audiobook. And I got to 109 pages, and I didn't want to pick it up. I wasn't curious about what was going on. It was taking a really long time to get into anything. Like, there was a lot of backstory. I can't even really tell you what this is about based off the 109 pages I read. The only gist that I got was that the magic was leaving New Orleans, and that's it. There's a girl who's, like, I guess the person that's probably got the strongest power, but she's kind of been out of the picture for various reasons. But that was it. Like, after 100 pages, I think that's like 30% into the novel, and nothing grabbed me. So I thought, you know what, I'm not gonna continue. DNFing books is still very much a learning process for me. I feel bad when I don't finish books, just because I kind of feel like I don't give the book a chance. But on the same token, if I'm really not thinking about it, I'm not wanting to pick it up, why should I continue reading it? So anyway, like I said, it's still a learning process for me. And I did finally decide to let that one go in February. So after that was the 24-hour Manga Love Readathon, and I read 7 volumes of manga for that. Again, if you'd like to know what I read and hear my thoughts on those volumes, I will link my wrap-up for the Readathon down in the description box below. So after the Readathon, I was really wanting to read more manga. So I read Honey Blood volumes 0, 1, and 2 in that order. This is a manga series by Miko Mitsuki, and it's complete in these 3 volumes. I probably should have read volumes 1 and 2 before I read 0, because 0 was kind of what the story should have been, I think, or was what her initial thought on how the series was going to go would be. So I kind of had this idea of what the story was going to be like going into volume 1, and it was different. But I ended up giving all 3 of these 3 stars. I think I liked the direction the story was going in volume 0 better than where the story went in volumes 1 and 2. There was also the fact that the very end of volume 2, it is the end of the series. If they had just ended it a little bit earlier in the story than leaving that extra last chapter or so, I would have liked the story much better. But that last chapter, those last few panels, really put the whole story for me on kind of a sour note. I did not like how that ended. But I still gave it 3 stars. So 3 stars for the entire series. This one is about a girl who's going to high school, and she is surrounded by like people who love this one author's novels, and her mom enjoys his novels, her friends at school enjoy his novels, and if I kind of put it in perspective, it's kind of like Twilight. He kind of writes like Twilight novels. But these stories are like about a vampire and his romance with someone who he shouldn't have a romance with. But the vampire in this series like can't kiss his romantic interest on the lips, because that will form a bond and a contract with them, and then he can only drink her blood for the rest of his life, and then when she dies, he will die also. That's kind of like the premise of the character that he's created. Well, he moves in next door to this girl, and she kind of falls for him, and so the story goes from there. Like I said, if this story had just ended a few pages earlier, I would have liked it much better, but the way it ended really gave a bad impression on the entire story thing for me. So 3 stars. I don't think this mangaka has written anything else, but I will need to check because I did like her art style. So then I moved into Good Luck Volume 1. This is by Kang E-jin. This is also a manhwa, and this is about a girl who is very, very unlucky. It starts out with her getting expelled from her current high school. It shows her having a kendo competition. She was in a kendo competition, and she breaks her opponent's wrist by accident. She has the worst luck. Bad things tend to happen to her. And so she's starting off at a new school, and people at this school kind of know about her. So she doesn't really have any friends. She kind of pushes people away because she knows her luck is bad and things might happen to people if they get too close to her. So I found out that this one was only 5 volumes long. I only had the first volume. I did enjoy this one, though there is a little bit of bullying that goes on for our main character because of the perception of people, the perception that people have of her. But I'm curious to see where this one goes because obviously it's called Good Luck. So I'm thinking her luck's gonna turn around. I have since procured the last 4 volumes from the library, so I'm really interested to get to those soon. But I gave this first volume 3 stars. I did enjoy the artwork again, and again, I'm really interested to see where this one goes. So then, I have been trying to catch up with Haikyuu. Haikyuu is a story about a volleyball team that are kind of the underdog now, and they're slowly getting their momentum back. My daughter and I have enjoyed this anime a few times, and I went to go see the 3rd season compilation movie last year on my birthday. So this is a story that we really enjoy. I don't know if we enjoy it so much because of the underdog kind of storyline, or the volleyball scenes are really great, or the fact that I used to play volleyball so I can understand what's going on. But we have watched the entire series through now at least twice, and we started the 3rd rewatch through in February. We finished the 1st season, and then we watched the compilation movies for season 2 and season 3. 4th season is coming out in September, so I'm really excited for that. But I figured I better catch up on the manga. I do own them all to current release, but I am so behind. I read volume 7 and 8 in February. Really enjoyed these volumes. I gave them both 5 stars. It's kind of a different experience reading the volumes, especially after watching the anime and having those scenes so fresh in my mind. And because I've been away from the manga volumes so long, and I read them before we did our rewatch of the first season, I kind of forgot where I was in the series. So I thought I was earlier than where I actually was. But once I finally got my bearings, yeah, I'm really enjoying this series still. And I'm really looking forward to continuing and getting to season 4. So, continuing on from my conversation before, I did read volume 5 of the Mortal Instruments series with my friend Shannon. Volume 5 is City of Lost Souls, again by Cassandra Clare. I didn't enjoy this one as much as the previous ones. I had a lot of issues with Clary and Jace's relationship, and Clary and her mom, and some of the antics that were going on. I just had issues. But again, had a really enjoyable time hashing it out with my friend Shannon. And yeah, we're getting ready to read the next one this month, which is the final book in the Mortal Instruments series. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that all wraps up. The TV series started up again, Shadowhunters, and it actually starts from this 5th book. And so I have watched a couple episodes already. It's very different, but I'm still enjoying it. So I ended up giving City of Lost Souls 3 stars, and I'm really anticipating the last one in this series. From there, I moved into a read-along with my friend Lee over at totally.net. I'll link her down in the description below. She was doing a read-along of Dracula by Bram Stoker. I happen to have a copy on my shelf, my Word Cloud Classics edition, and I thought this would be the perfect time to finish this one off. I did start it in October because I was waiting for another book to come in at the time, but I didn't finish it once the book that I was waiting for originally had come in. So I picked it up from where I left off, and I finished Dracula around the same time Lee did, I think. And yeah, I didn't enjoy it too much. I don't think classics are for me. Like, I really want to read them because they're classics, but I don't end up enjoying them too much. I read this from my Word Cloud Classics edition, and I listened to a good portion of it on audiobook by multiple people. Tim Curry was one of them. Alan Cumming was another. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, Dracula is kind of written in diary entries. That kind of didn't work for me. I don't like books that have a lot of different POVs. And even if you can like see at the beginning of each section who's talking during that section, I have a hard time remembering who's talking in the section. So having the audiobook really helped because there were multiple people. Each person had a different character. And so that really helped keep me notified of who was talking and what person's perspective we were in. But yeah, the story was just okay. I mean, for something that has been the basis of so many interesting movies or TV shows or other novels, I expected this one to be a little bit better. But for me, it wasn't. It wasn't scary at all. Dracula hardly even shows up in here, which I found surprising. And the end was just anticlimactic. After all of that, for it to end that way was highly disappointing for me. But I did end up giving it 3 stars. I'm glad that I finally finished another classic. And thank you to my friend Lee for kicking my butt and getting me to finish that one. I'm kind of hoping she'll do more with other like classics, because there are others that I really want to read, but I can't like get myself to do it alone. Like, I want to read The Three Musketeers, and I want to read Les Miserables, but okay, those books are like super huge, but I just don't think that I'm gonna enjoy them. And it's such a hard thing for me to voluntarily pick up a classic. But yeah, I'm glad I read it. I gave it 3 stars. And now I can say that I finally read Dracula. That, I believe, completes everything that I read in February. Yeah, that was quite a bit to get through. I'm not even sure how many I read. But like I said, I really enjoyed participating in a readathon. I haven't done one in a really long time. I've kind of been out of the readathon mode for a while. Just because the whole, like, you know, set up your TBR, here are the challenges, and this, that, and the other thing. I don't do well with TBRs. And I've just been so busy and stressed out that I just could not get myself to do it. But I'm kind of getting back into it now, and that manga readathon, 24 hours of just pure manga enjoyment, was so much fun. And I'm kind of glad that I structured the way that I read for that readathon, because I did put together a TBR. I did crank off most of the titles that I planned to read, and so it put me in a mind frame for March Mystery Madness, and I'm doing really well on my TBR for that. I've read 3 books so far for March Mystery Madness, and I really enjoyed them. And the fact that I've stuck to my TBR is kind of a major feat for me. So I'm excited to get to share those titles with you. But if you aren't aware of March Mystery Madness, or you haven't watched any of my videos before, March Mystery Madness is a month full of mystery reading. I will leave the applicable Goodreads group and Twitter page on the description box below as well, so you can come check us out. But if you're reading any kind of mystery during March, please come and chat with us. I do host meetups on Mondays at noon Pacific time on the Twitter page, and we just talk about what we're enjoying, and how many books we've read, and the types of mysteries that we've enjoyed during the readathon, for about an hour or so. And so, yeah, I hope to chat with some of you. Even if you're not officially participating in March Mystery Madness, but have read mystery books recently, come and chat with us, or leave us a post in the Goodreads group. There are a lot of people participating. We're super excited that there's a lot of participation this year. And yeah, I think I'll end it here. I hope you're all doing great. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.